What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Mark Z Drumcast. I am your host, Mark Zapata, the owner and founder of Mark Z Drums. Here with you today on a beautiful Wednesday. Have some tech tips. I'm going to start off the show today with a tech tip that's sure to please. Now, if you are a creator or somebody that uses technology often, computers, the internet, programs, apps, things like that, electronic drums, you undoubtedly have experienced from time to time the occasional technical glitch. Raise your hand if you have come across this problem from time to time, the technical glitch, I will call it, where for X amount of days in a row, things work perfectly, and then you go to sit down and you do everything exactly the same as you did the day before, and suddenly something's not working right, or nothing is working right. Fear not, I have the hands down greatest tip that will save you aggravation, time, energy. Quick tip. All right, so here it is. Before we even get into the show, this is the tip you've all been waiting for. Shut it off and turn it back on. There you go. It's as simple as that. If you come across something that worked exactly the same way, shut it off, shut it down, restart it, unplug it, plug it back in, restart it, reboot it, whatever you got to do, shut it off, swipe the app away, shut the whole phone down and restart it. Like all of these little things, try these things first. So I'm a little late on the show, the start of the show, but it doesn't really have a time. The time for the start of the Mark Z Drumcast is amorphous, okay? It's around the afternoon. So anyway, here we are, Mark Z Drumcast. I think most of you all watch it later anyway. I know everybody's working. This is a really tough time to do a live show and expect anybody to pop in and say hi. But I do get a lot of comments from people who have watched the show after the fact. And so I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank you all for the support that the Mark Z Drumcast has been getting. Yesterday, on a very special Mark Z Drumcast, I spoke about the birthday of the groundbreaking drummer Neil Peart from Rush. He would have been 71 yesterday. And I talked a little bit about the influence he's had over me as a drummer coming up since I'm young, since I started listening to him. And so I would say there are a few drummers, and I'm sure there are more that I'm missing in my experience, in my life, and that's all I could speak about. Ginger Baker, Keith Moon, John Bonham, and Neil Peart. Okay? All of them sort of redefined rock drumming at their time of prevalence. And so once something like that happens, and a guy comes along and just kind of changes the rules, or breaks the rules, or makes new rules, whatever it is, they influence many people coming up and kind of change everybody's trajectory, let's say. Whatever path you might have been on, once you hear a guy like Ginger Baker, once you hear a Neil Peart, you probably will change your direction, your trajectory of drumming, and start to do things a little different. That's what it's all about. So Neil Peart came along later on after those guys, and just changed the game that much more. So he was really my biggest influence. Still am influenced by him. And I felt compelled yesterday while I was teaching my students, because we have a nice poster of him on the wall in my teaching room. And so I was talking to my students about him. And as I was ready to go home in the lobby, just hanging out and talking to clients and people and other teachers, I heard Tom Sawyer being played by one of the student bands in one of the rehearsal rooms. And I just had to pop my head in and say, hey, does anybody know what day it is? And of course, everybody said September 12th, the day after September 11th. I said, yes, that's true. But what is the significance of today? And after a little while, the drummer actually got it. And so I just needed to kind of drop that knowledge on some people. But it was cool because the singer in the band was very interested in hearing all about it. And then the director of the band and myself, we chatted a little bit about our experience growing up listening to Rush and seeing them live and things like that. So always good to kind of start a conversation, prompt a conversation, and maybe help educate the younger people or tell stories, pass on history to the younger people that were not there to experience it. So very, very cool. And shout out to those kids that are really open to hearing about musicians and bands from before they were really around. And it's really, really cool because it helps to keep those legacies going forward. So check out my very special episode of the Mark Z Drumcast, which aired yesterday. I just talk a little bit about how Neil Peart helped to shape me as a drummer today. Also check out my Tom Sawyer drum cover entitled, Can I Play Tom Sawyer Like Neil? Maybe, I've got a lot of really great feedback from it, but of course, I don't feel like I hold a candle to Neil Peart. But that's what we're striving for, right? We strive to try to achieve what our idols have achieved before us. So, having said that, let's get that out of the way. As I keep saying, show after show, big changes coming to the Mark Z Drumcast. Stay tuned. Keep watching for more developments. Some stuff I may not talk about, but you'll see, you'll notice. Okay, we're always striving to be better here at the Mark Z Drumcast. And so let's get on to the topic at hand for today, which really is the topic at hand. What is the topic for today? I kind of forgot. So what I wanted to talk about today was some interactions that I've had with my students lately, and talking about being prepared for performance. And how exactly do we prepare for performance? Well, first of all, we have to understand what the performance entails. We have to know what's expected of us. And let's say in the form of a student band playing a show upcoming, you need to have so many songs down. And, you'll be playing for this amount of time. And then, of course, the details of the where and the when. But what is expected of you? Well, you guys need to play these songs. And I've been directing a new band, which I've stepped in kind of in the middle, midstream, if you will. And, the last couple of rehearsals have been an evaluation process. And trying to instill in the students involved in the band what a big responsibility it is to be in a band And what an opportunity it is. I was going to say privilege. I'm not going to say privilege. I'm going to say what an opportunity it is to be in a student band where you have a rehearsal space provided for you, all the equipment except for your instruments, your guitars, your bass, your keyboards. Those you will provide. But, we also provide guitars and keyboards and basses for students that may not have them. Drums are always provided. A PA system is always provided with microphones. In a lot of cases, monitors around the room and lights, right, to give you that atmosphere. There is a stage with a drum riser, right? So I can't emphasize to my students enough what an opportunity you have to be able to come here once a week and play music with other musicians and learn songs together and perform together on stages. And most of the time when these kids perform, they're performing at pretty nice local venues. Again, with lights, stages, drum risers, full sound systems, and a whole audience of people, family and friends and staff that are cheering them on. So it's really an unbelievable opportunity. The only problem is sometimes I feel as though these opportunities are not really appreciated. When I was coming up, I walked uphill to school both ways in the rain with no shoes. That old story. But it really is true that when I was coming up, you had to make your own way. If you were in a band, if you were lucky enough to find a bunch of people to be in a band with, you rehearsed in somebody's garage, at somebody's house, in somebody's basement. That wasn't always easy to find, because bands are loud, bands make noise, bands are often, especially in the beginning, not very good. So it takes a lot of support for these young bands to get started out, or it did back then. Supportive parents, understanding parents, which they were great back in the day, the places that we were able to rehearse and play music at. And then you would go rent a studio when you got a little bit older and you had some pocket money. You'd rent a studio and you'd pay so much an hour to go and rehearse in a room for a couple of hours. So you made your way. Nowadays, you have these schools, which I think are amazing because they are giving these kids opportunities. But I just feel like I always need to kind of instill to them like what an opportunity it is. Not only because I've been through it. Obviously, I've been in bands my whole life, and a lot of times just finding a singer, just finding a bass player, is a whole ordeal, and can really put a kink in whatever you're trying to do musically. So here we are. We have we've got this bass player for you. Boom, 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 and we put bands together. So the only thing I think is that maybe the students don't appreciate what it used to be like. But should they really? I mean, that's not the world they're growing up in. This is the world they're growing up in. But I would like them to really take advantage of that opportunity, because anybody that does want to move forward in music and maybe form their own bands and start to go out and play shows, this is valuable time right now, valuable experience that you get, that when you get a little bit older, you've gone through it, You've been in a band, you've been in rehearsals, you've written music, you've learned songs, you've performed live. You've had the singer bail at the last minute, or the drummer gets sick, and all of these things. You had all of that stuff happen, and that's all valuable experience moving forward that will help you when you get into a real life band situation. Also, the performance experiences is really, really important. And we try to instill in the students also that, this is a very supportive environment, so do your best, and but put in the time, put in the energy, because you have a responsibility to everybody else in the band and the band as a whole to do your part, to pull your weight, to know your parts, to play well, to put in as much time and effort as you possibly can, given the rest of your schedule in your life, to perform the best you can and play the songs right, know what you're supposed to be doing. So this has been a recurring theme for me because it also, besides starting to work with this new student band, I'm returning to the place where I was directing 2 student bands. So we have started back up now that the summer is done, everybody's coming back. So this has been the theme for me for the last couple of weeks. Everybody know your parts, everybody work on your songs, do your part so that the band can sound better. We had a new song that we were working on the other night, and the singer was having problems with timing. And it wasn't really the singer's fault because the drummer was having problems with timing with the bass player. The guitar player was having trouble with timing with everybody else. And again, this was the first time the band had played this song, but there were timing issues, right? So it seemed like the singer was out of time, out of sync, but really everybody was. So these are the things when you direct bands and you're working with students, these are great times, teachable moments to show them and to help them to understand how can we all get on the same page? How can we all get on the same metronome, right? On the same timing, on the same beat, whatever you want to call it. How can we all get locked in together? So that has been my challenge for the week. But we also talked a little bit about vacation. I had one of my students talking about how he has a small foldable keyboard that he can fit in his backpack and take on vacation. And of course, one of the other students was like, why would you do that? Because I need to practice. And the other guy's like, on vacation? Yes, I need to practice. So, of course, the question came to me, being the director of the band, do you practice on vacation? Well, yeah, when I have a chance, I do. I bring sticks and a practice pad with me. I've actually done a couple of Mark Z Drumcasts from Florida, one from the pool, one from the lanai outside, as I was just working on some stuff for my hands and talking to you guys while I was on vacation. But again, it just speaks to where you're at, how important it is to you. Yes. Yes. Amsterdam, great city, great country. Yes. So it's one of those things where I said, yeah, that's, but again, it all speaks to your degree of dedication. And there is a certain amount that is related to age. Hey, as you get older, it might become more important to you. Or you might be a student who loves to play music and has fun with it, but really sports is your thing, or other things are number 1 on the list, and drumming might be 3rd on your list. So you got to understand where the priorities are at with your students and what to expect. So, but yes, there's nothing wrong with practicing on vacation, especially if you're on tour. I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer. You're on tour. You gotta practice. You gotta warm up before a show. You're backstage. I was in Switzerland doing a show, and the headliner, the drummer, was backstage, and he had the pedals that simulate bass drum pedals, and it's just 2 like plastic pedals with springs on them. And I don't even think there were beaters hitting anything. I think they were just pedals. But I said, hey, let me try that. And it was really, really cool. Just to get your blood flowing, just to get those muscles warmed up. You're sitting backstage, you have some nervous energy. You want to get it out. You want to make sure you're going to perform well. You want to be practicing. You want to be warming up. You want to be playing as much as possible. So anyway, enough about that. We have been talking about triplets. It has been triplet mania on the show lately. And we have kind of talked about a lot of different ways to play our triplets. when we're talking about certain songs, I always like to use the example of Toxicity because there is a triplet feel throughout in 6/8, and when you're starting to hear this song, you're starting to understand this about the song, the fills become easier, the beats become easier when you understand what is the pattern that makes up this song, and it is a triplet. Now, triplets are awesome, triplets are fun, triplets do change the feel of things that we do on the drums, and there are a lot of things we can do. So we've talked about right, left, right, left, right, left triplets. We've talked about right, right, left, 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 right triplets. We've talked about right, left, 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 right, right triplets. As long as we're playing 3 notes per beat, same distance apart, we can use any kind of sticking we want. Now, sticking just refers to what hand you're playing, left hand or right hand. And if you're playing right, right, left, that's the sticking. Then we talked about taking these triplets and not only playing them on the pad or the snare drum, but moving them around the drum set, using your toms, using your cymbals, your hi-hat, and how we can kind of accent certain notes in the triplet and assign those accented notes to different drums on the drum set, different toms. If you wanted to accent your right hand lead on your triplet, then you could make the right hand lead on the floor tom, let's say. If you wanted to accent the left hand lead as well, then that accented note can be played on the high tom. I'm noticing my overhead shot is pretty devoid of light. We are working on the lighting situation. You'll see soon. You'll see soon. I'm very excited. It's going to be very, very cool moving forward on the Mark Z Drumcast. But anyway, accenting different notes on the different toms. I'm going to turn off my mic. I'm going to put the drums on so you can hear the different toms as we move forward through this exercise. And there you have it, right? So when we have these different patterns, and we try to pick kind of simple patterns to use them as seeds to grow, right? To grow these figures, to grow these ideas. We use the simple patterns as seeds, like the triplet I just did. And as we're practicing it and as we're growing it, we're taking it just from the snare drum or the pad, and we're starting to expand it out across the drum set with many, many different ideas. Then we went ahead and we talked about triplets with a bass drum note at some point added into the triplets. So I showed a sheet, which I'll put in the description, that you can download from Joel Rothman's book, Mini Monster book, and it's Drum Beats and Fills. And so he was talking about playing triplets, adding the bass drum, and we did that on a show not too long ago. So up until this point, we are working with complete triplets. What do I mean by complete triplets? Well, each triplet consisting of 3 notes within a beat is being played. Just like we did not too long ago with straight 16th notes, we would take the 4 16th notes that we have in a beat, and we would begin resting one or more of those 16th notes to come up with different patterns. So we would rest maybe the downbeat, the 1, 2, 3, and the 4. and have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and playing it that way, resting the second 16th note or the E of each beat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and or resting the of each beat so that you have 3 notes close together and 3 16th notes close together, and then the 4th 16th note is rested. 1 E N, 2 E N, 3 E N, 4 E N, which, by the way, is not a triplet because the notes are not, they're equally spaced, but there's a space, there's a pause at the end before you go into the second beat. And triplets are equally spaced from one beat to the next. They flow throughout all of the beats. Okay, a little interruption here. The Mark Z Drumcast. Somebody found the bunker. But anyway, let's continue on because there's nothing we can do about these kind of interruptions. So when we take those straight 16ths and we rest certain notes within them, we come up with different cool rhythms that we can then mix and match. Same thing with triplets. We can rest one of the notes in the triplet and we could start to play with that idea. So something like 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Now when we're playing triplets like that, it is a different feel. It's not 8th notes together, it's not 16th notes together. It is actually 2 notes that are a different distance from within each other per beat. So, now we have a different feel. What if we rest the middle note of each triplet? 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. We have a different feel. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And it sounds different. Let me turn off my mic so you can hear what that sounds like. And so we have a different feel. So I would start to experiment with mixing and matching different rests within your triplets so that you can come up with some cool ideas. And then combine that with everything else that we've done, moving your triplets around the drums, adding the bass drum, taking away some triplet notes so that we can have more syncopated rhythms that can be more interesting. And then we start to bring these ideas up to speed. And the more different ideas we work on, the easier it will be for us to transition between the different ideas and the different types of 16th notes we're playing. The different types of triplets we're playing. That whole ringing the doorbell thing threw me off. I usually, if I'm not invited, I'll ring the doorbell once. And then I go away. I don't ring it twice, but that's just me. Maybe on the next episode of the Mark Z Drumcast, I will talk about doorbell etiquette and what to do when somebody doesn't answer the door. So, anyway, on that note, we've talked about triplets, we've talked about Neil Peart, and we are going to be moving forward with some fun and exciting changes. As soon as I get a chance to open up all my goodies, I did an unboxing video recently where I got the ATEM Mini Pro ISO that I'm super excited about. And I've just recently picked up a Canon Rebel T2i and really excited about that. We'll see how that changes the look of these videos. Lots of stuff changing, lots of stuff going on, but all fun, all good. And I promise that I am working hard on the drum instructional video and the membership site, the Patreon, my website, all of this good stuff coming up, coming in here for you. So do me a favor, if you liked the video, if you got something out of it, please like and subscribe. What I try to do here is just give ideas and things for people to think about as they're moving through their journey on the drums. I have a ton of experience. I did not say at the beginning of this show, but I've been playing drums since I'm 7 years old. A couple of shows ago, I think I did my origin story. It might have even been the very special episode where I talked a little bit about my origin as a drummer. Mark Z Drums has been in existence for about 12 years. So I'm just here to share my experience and all the things that I've learned over the years in my drumming journey. So if you like it, check me out on all my other socials, Mark Z Drums, website, MarkZDrums.com, and just like, share, subscribe, follow everything I do on social media. That would be awesome. So thanks again. If you go to my Patreon page, you can see exactly what you'll get there. You can be part of this community that I'm trying to grow, and we're going to have a lot of fun moving forward. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Jerry, thanks for dropping in. Have a great day.